Rainier Jesus today came off the bench. So I was watching I was watching the Dortmund and Bayern Munich game in the the Super Cup today. And I watched 80 minutes. It was a ton of fun. It was a great game back and forth, beautiful goals, high quality football, bad defending, entertainment. You know, I actually think I don't think I've ever watched a Dortmund game that wasn't entertaining. They're just
I watched the one from this weekend and it was so much fun.
That was the Holland
The
show,
way
but
the Holland show, he had 2 goals and 3 assists, and like the way they transition and just counterattack is unbelievable.
so I'm very proud to admit that I watched 80 minutes or so of that game, and then I left the house, and then I saw that Rainier came in the 84th minute. So I didn't see it. I watched everything but the Rainier minutes, basically. Some looking at the quick numbers, um, I don't think I missed too much.
Yeah, I don't think you missed anything.
Yeah, I think he had 7 touches, and according to SofaScore, lost possession 3 times. And I don't know. I can't. I have zero context for that. And also, the game was pretty much over at that point. Um, Dortmund are just so bad defensively. But I did want to talk about just Dortmund in general. What was your impression watching them in that first game on over the weekend? And do you think Rainier fits into this team somewhere in the post Sancho era? Like, do you feel like there's a place for him? Can he work his way into this team?
I definitely do because they're playing basically Reina and Royce as well, not really wingers. They're playing as kind of inverted number 10 forwards, second strikers, and so that's like literally perfect for Rainier. That's his position. So I think he could come in for either of those two guys. Obviously, they signed um, the Dutch international Malin, and he's not starting yet, and so he's usually one of the first names off the bench. And they sometimes shift the formation to fit him in there and go 4-3-3 or 4-4-2. But I still think Rainier can find a way to move up the rotation, hopefully earn a spot. There will be injuries, and there should be. I hope under Marco Rose there will be more opportunities for Rainier. I think Dortmund this year are going to be a lot of fun just from watching that first game, but their defense is. I still worry about it. It's kind of been the issue since we've started watching them is their defense, and I think this year it's worse than it's ever been.
Yeah, I was. I mean, this Bayern will make you look even worse than you are, probably on a general scale. But Alfonso Davies and Coleman and Gnabry, they just ripped them apart. Especially uh, Dortmund's right back, Paslak, really struggled
Yeah,
defensively.
yeah,
Today, Dortmund started a 16-year-old kid, Yusufa Mukoku, on the right wing, and that. And I didn't know anything about him prior today. He actually looked pretty decent and did score a goal that was ultimately called offside. And by the way, I really like Jude Bellingham too. I haven't really seen him play much, and I really like his performance today. He's obviously a talented kid, plays really good through balls, good in tight corners, also works really hard defensively. But again, so we're talking about uh, Mukoku, Holland, Roos, who is awesome, scored a beautiful goal today as well. But it's Royce, so you never know. You just never know with him. He's not going to play every game this season. I definitely feel like there is room for Rainier to work his way into the rotation. He also had a decent Olympic campaign um, coming off the bench for Brazil. I liked what I saw from him. So there's definitely more of a chance this season than there was last season, especially with
yeah,
Sancho gone. Yeah.
yeah.
Let's talk about Takefusa Kubo. He came off the bench. I know you were a little bit surprised that he got minutes so soon in the opening match day, but he came off the bench. I've not spoken to you about Kubo yet. I'm very curious to see what you think of this Mallorca team as in comparison to the Kubo Mallorca season we covered about 2 years ago, I think it was now. And I haven't had a chance to listen to your podcast with Alex when you talked about Kubo and Mallorca. So do you want to just give a rundown on what's changed since Kubo's last stint at Mallorca?
Yeah, I'll give the quick rundown so it's not too repetitive for those who have listened. basically Alex said that this team is Luis Garcia Plaza, who's the new manager. He's made this team much more solid. So actually, last season in Segunda, they had one of the best goals against records out of all Europe's top 5 leagues. So they become a very solid and organized team defensively. Um, and I asked Alex, well, where can Kubo fit in? Where can he slot in? And as you know, Kian, this team no longer has Ante Budimir. It doesn't have Pucho Hernandez. These were two of the guys alongside Kubo that were kind of the stalwarts of the team and the key attacking figures, and the only ones who had really the creative juices for the team. And they've got some new pieces. They got some local guys, and they brought in some new transfers. But Alex felt that Kubo will slot in right away. And what his only question was whether Kubo, because they do play a 4-2-3-1 formation, and whether Kubo would play center attacking mid or whether he would be out on the right wing. And in this substitute appearance against Real Betis, he played like all three positions. I felt like he played the left wing, he played center attacking mid, and then he played right wing at the end. So I don't think we got a definitive idea of where Luis Garcia Plaza sees him fitting, but I was really encouraged to hear Alex say that like Kubo's gonna slot right in, and it sounds like this team. He did say the area. If you remember a couple of years ago, remember how much we would complain about the left back position because Kubo would get the ball on the right, and then he'd be like perfect for that Jordi Alba pass that Messi always plays. But they didn't have the left back who was overlapping, and they had so many injuries. Well, they now finally brought in, I think it's Brian Olivan, and he scored actually in the Real Betis game and looked really good. And so they finally got some reinforcements in the right back and the left back position. So that should definitely help. That should definitely help the team.
So I was really impressed with them this weekend. I obviously I didn't watch them in Segunda, and I haven't seen them since they were in La Liga last. And I was really impressed with them. They were going up against Real Betis. And now the thing with Real Betis is they can just make you look really good. But I think it was a bit of both in this game because they were really comfortable letting Betis just pass it around and then basically staying really compact, defending in a 4-5-1 mid block. They were comfortable ceding possession, and their transition offense. It was a little bit slow to start. I won't lie. It took them a while to get going. But once they figured it out, they had a lot of dangerous sequences, and they basically ripped Betis apart defensively. And it's interesting to see how the dynamic changed because they weren't able to necessarily sustain it, and Betis did grow into the game. But one interesting thing that happened, and I would have been really curious to see how, if Mallorca kept the 1-0 lead when Kubo came in, how much that would have changed the dynamic because Kubo was coming on the field. It was Mallorca were defending a corner, right? And it was 1-0 for them. And he's waiting on the touchline, waiting to come in after the corner is finished. And they concede a goal. So all of a sudden, he goes from the situation where he's about to enter the field when they're up 1-0 and Betis are already chasing the game and they're vulnerable defensively. They're playing a high line. Kubo would have entered in that. But as he's about to come on the field, Mallorca concede the goal, and it's 1-1. So the dynamic changes a little bit. I would have been curious to see if the dynamic would have held true, and it would have just been a lot of free reign for Kubo to play in. But one of the interesting things, and I thought he was fine, by the way, in a vacuum. Like, he had some nice touches. He came on in the 63rd minute, and he playing again. Like, I wasn't quite clear, as you said. Like, he wasn't on the right, but he was centrally, but he was sometimes on the left. And his first touch, it was like this nice line breaking sequence, and he wins a free kick in a good position. But there's an interesting thing happening on Mallorca's right wing, and that is that Mbula is a really, really good player that I was really impressed with, their right winger. Good work rate defensively, good ball winner in midfield, good ball carrier. He can get into good shooting positions, just good give and goes to get up and down the flank, incredible runs with the ball at his feet. I actually think like he's really strong competition, and him and Maffeo on that right side, another great wing back. They seem to have a really good thing going on the right wing. So I wonder if because of that Kubo does make more sense centrally, because Mbula is awesome. I don't know if he should necessarily be on the bench after from what I saw from him against Betis.
Yeah, I mean, given how well Kubo played in the Olympics from a central spot, and he's been vocal in the past that that's his preferred position. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see him there in a central position. And I thought in this match, like you said, Kubo came in, had some nice touches, a couple overhit passes, but the one thing I felt like stood out to me was I felt like he rode challenges a little bit better. Like he dealt with the physicality in some of the fouls that he sustained. I felt like he dealt with that better than we're used to seeing, and that was Bordalas's big mark on Kubo. I remember looking back at some of his quotes this summer, and Bordalas basically said, "Look, Kubo's got it all, but he's just got to get the physicality part. Like that's the only thing he's missing." And so I almost feel like Kubo's filled out a little bit too. He's coming. I know he's a smaller stature, but I feel like he's filled out his body a little bit. So, and that comes naturally. I mean, he's only 20 years old, so that comes naturally. And so I think hopefully I could like this is. I told Alex like this is it. This is the year for Kubo. Like he really has to make a major impact if he wants to have a real future at Real Madrid, because you've got to make a big statement at a club like Mallorca to be able to get your name in the door at Real Madrid. And so he's got to take on a leadership role. He's got to take on a lot of responsibility. He's got to show maturity, and he's got to almost be Martin Odegaard, Real Sociedad at Mallorca. And so he's got to kind of take on that mantle. And so it will be interesting to see if he can step up to it. He's got all the quality. I mean, we all know how good he is and how much talent he has, but can he bring it and can he get that end product in there?